You find that odd that the Small Business Administration is involved in getting out the vote in a state that President Biden is down in and absolutely needs to win to stay president?
Absolutely.
That was Representative Eli Crane of Arizona questioning the witness about the Small Business Administration helping to register voters. If that sounds weird or illegal to you, it's because it is, but we no longer live in a constitutional republic, so it's pretty on brand for the government at this point. As to why the SBA is helping to get out the vote, it's because of an executive order signed by Joe Biden that directed all federal agencies to help register voters and get out the vote. Putting the legality aside, and there's obviously issues with that regarding the Hatch Act and many other legal issues, this makes absolutely no sense unless you're attempting election interference. While there are many federal agencies that I don't even think should exist, they do exist, and agencies like the HHS or the SBA should not be having anything to do with registering voters. They should be focused on wasting our taxpayer dollars on things related to the agency's so-called mission. Here's some more information about the executive order, followed by Crane questioning the witnesses in the hearing about the SBA.
Okay, we got a Biden executive order. Get this. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, Marsh. You get a Biden executive order on so-called increasing access to the vote. He signed it immediately after he was sworn in as president, so went under the radar screen. It was smart the way they did that. And this executive order requires all federal government agencies to submit plans on how they will engage in election-related outreach, which basically violates every amendment known to man, because you're not supposed to get involved in it as a federal employee, and educate the citizens on how to vote. Meantime, we don't know what these plans are. There's no transparency. You guys have sued, but nothing happens. And so he's now weaponizing every agency to go and register Democratic voters and get them out to vote. This is like they can't do Zuckerbucks, so they just let your tax dollars do it. What is going on with this, Marshall?
Well, you're exactly right, and it's something your last guest mentioned is these unauthorized spending that goes around Congress. So the Biden administration has gone around Congress, and that's part of the problem here is the Anti-Deficiency Act violations. They're spending this money directing outside of the scope of congressional authority. Biden is doing it on his own. He's learned from Obama about the pen and the phone. He's using the pen to direct his federal government employees, the bureaucrats, the deep state from within, to go out there and register as many people and as often as they can every time they interact with someone at the state or local level. So they're creating a lot of these what we call phantom voters, phantom registrations. This is what the Carter-Baker Commission warned about in 2005, of creating a registration process so easy that the person registering didn't even know that they were being registered. And this insidious process is going on throughout the country. And the Biden administration is doing this. It's being run by the left wing like Susan Rice. We all know how good she is. She is nothing but a partisan hack, and she is pushing this. She's giving out the grant money to the left's favorite nonprofits, and we have to fight back, and we're looking to fight back at every chance we get. So I encourage everybody that's listening to my voice, we have to sign up to be poll workers. We have to fight back every chance we get. We have to fight back, and we have to organize. Go to whoscounting.us, sign up to be part of our network. We're building coalitions to organize around this, to fight back and push back against the left's organization to take over the country. We will restore election integrity, but the left has been doing this for decades, and we're just getting started.
Mr. Whitson, in your opinion, sir, why is the SBA involved itself in election process and registering voters in swing states?
Thank you for that question. So this is part of the executive order. It commanded every single federal agency to take part in this whole of government get out the vote effort to benefit the Biden administration. And so SBA is one of those tools. And so Michigan, as we mentioned, it's well-known fact that it's a key battleground state. And so it doesn't require a lot of votes to make a significant impact.
Right.
And so that's
right.
what it appears.
What does the SBA stand for, Mr. Whitson? Do you know?
It's the Small Business Administration.
Do you find that odd that the Small Business Administration is involved in getting out the vote in a state that President Biden is down in and absolutely needs to win to stay president?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You said that there's other government agencies doing this as well, Mr. Whitson. Can you go over those real quick?
Yes, so again, that's the Health and Human Services has transformed more than 1,400 federally qualified health centers located in states across the country into voter registration hubs. You got the Department of Labor has turned more than 2,300 American job centers, again, scattered across the country into voter registration hubs. USDA, Department of Education is allowing federal work-study funds to go to college students to become an army of workers for left-wing groups engaging in voter registration activity, again, in strongholds where there's more Democrat votes than there are Republican. So the list goes on.
Imagine that. You also said this was more alarming than the Zuckerbuck scheme by the Democrats back in 2020. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so I think that scheme offers the perfect illustrative example of what's going on here. And so Zuckerbuck's people could look at it on the surface and say, this looks funny, but it was only until after the election when we could go in, FGA went in, and we got the exact numbers of where money went, which counties and what amounts, that we could have the proof. And so this is that same scheme, but instead of $400 million, it is the unlimited funding, resources, reach, and power of the federal government and its agencies in every state. So it's Zuckerbuck on steroids.
And we don't even know how much they're spending yet, do we? Because they won't be transparent about it, right?
That's exactly right.
That's what I thought. Ms. Morales, why do you think the SBA is involving itself in, I'm sorry, Mr. Morales, why do you think the SBA isn't involving itself in your state, in Indiana?
Well, they're not involving Indiana. I wish they have come to my state and talked to me. Like I said, I would love to work with them when it comes specifically with businesses.
Yeah.
Helping our Hoosier business.
Yeah, they seem to have forgotten that that's their main focus. But I'll tell you, sir, the reason they're not involving themselves in your state is because I checked, and your state is a Republican plus like 11 state. So it's a Republican state. That's why they're not. You're not a swing state. That's why they're not involving themselves there. Do you believe this is election interference, Miss Elaine Parker?
I do believe it's election interference when you're going into a targeted area of state to register people for election. But again, I believe that the SBA should be focused on the small business and advocating for small businesses within the administration. There's a regulatory onslaught that's happening against our small businesses, disproportionately hurts them, and that's what the SBA should be focused on, is protecting their interests.
Absolutely. We've got rising inflation, right? Overregulation, real disposable income down 7.5%, 21% increase in credit card interest rates. But according to Tyler Robinson, who happens to be the special advisor to Administrator Guzman, Robinson claims in a video, this is him saying it, not me, that SBA Administrator Guzman is the most traveled cabinet member, visits battleground states with Democrat members of Congress to help them and Biden get reelected, and that she indirectly campaigns for the president by announcing or highlighting investments in certain communities by the Biden-Harris administration to sway support. But our Democrat colleagues will have you try and convince you to believe this stuff isn't even going on. It's unbelievable. I've heard from the other side today that the act of voter registration, it's not partisan. We all heard that, right? The act of voting, that's not partisan either, right? We heard that. Well, is it when you're targeting blue Democrat-run cities, counties, municipalities? Is that partisan? What do you think, Mr. Winstrom?
It absolutely is. And so it's what campaigns do, right?
Yeah.
Campaigns engage in get out the vote efforts, and they don't try to get out the vote of every kind of voter. They try to get out the vote of the voters that will put them in office. And so that's the problem, is now the federal executive branch is engaging this. A federal executive branch led by a member of one political party is using that apparatus to engage in a get out the vote scheme.
Yeah, and imagine that. And we hear it from the other side about, oh, this is undermining democracy and bipartisanship. Are you kidding me? You guys just tried to put your number one political opponent, President Trump, in jail, right? That's what you're trying to do right now. And now this. And it's just a couple different things. We're not buying any of it, okay? I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
I think that all government is a waste of taxpayer money.